Okay, we can't hear Bo. Okay, so now we move on and start the webinar. Thank you very much for the introductions. We are now starting the webinar as such formally. And with that, I would like to start on the subject of today. We will be talking for about 30 minutes about how to make your business more agile, and that with design thinking and change management. And moving to the first slide, I would like to ask Alex, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Thank you, Christian. So I'm a design thinking leg of our tandem. I help organizations to transform themselves and to disrupt based on users' needs. When we talk about users' needs, we talk about logistical needs, but also about emotional needs. And yes, emotions are part of the business, even so we pretend they're not. So a little bit about myself. I spent the first 15 years of my career in strategy and marketing, and I have been an independent consultant for 5 years, with a leg in academia and another leg in, I would say, standard consulting in organizations. I'm also a ProSci certified change management practitioner because I believe in making sure the best solutions are implemented and don't remain in the drawer. So with that, Christian.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. I am Christian de Loës, as said. I'm a transformation consultant, change management expert, and do online workshops and trainings. I've been living around the world for many years, and I have also a past of 22 years internationally within the Ericsson Group that I left 2006. I'm also the past chairman of the board of the Swiss Chamber of Commerce in Sweden, and some of you I've met through the chamber, and some other, like Alexandra. I am also a ProSci certified change management practitioner. Now let's get into the real hot topic of today. As we know, the world has been propelled 3 years in time to maybe 2023 in less than 3 months due to the current crisis. And in this aspect, it is important to lift the eyes and not only think of anxiety and fear. The importance is to be able to balance the short with the medium term and the long term as well. And in that aspect, now, as we know that we had a very heavy wind of disruptive change before, this has now accelerated to a permanent hurricane category 5, if I might use that expression. And in that, the identification is what are the key success factors to be, successful in whatever the post-corona era will look like, the new normal, which is uncertain. It is clear that digital transformation is now accelerating, and that means everything is changing. You need to be able to work transversally. You need to be able to work with digital transformation. You need to be able as well to work transversally. That's most important to unleash the potential, the power in organization. So with that, innovation becomes really important, meaning fail fast forward, establish a culture of wanting and trying new things fast, small, and fail should not be a problem as long as it is within what is tolerated to regulations and laws and so on. Sustainability is something which in the current crisis we do not see or hear too much anymore. What we know is that sustainability will be even more important in terms of being able to win the talent war, and with the prediction that 30 million talents will be missing 2030. With that, customer experience is in the center of everything, and this is why we also need to have a leadership which is human-centric. So human centricity in an empathic way with the customer experience in everything we do, and the user experience as well is really important. So we talk about stakeholders that need to be taken care of in the right way. This is why we are combining the uniqueness of change management and design thinking. And we need to make sure that we can actually accelerate transformation organizations because we don't have so much time anymore. And you need to become really business agile and making sure that you really can change your business model really quickly, not in months, weeks, but rather in days or even hours. And the speed of transition must increase because the time to become business agile now is really short, much shorter than it was 4 months ago. So with that, we need to look at how do we demystify business agility, how to succeed. The three key elements from strategy to execution, which is quite difficult for most, and that is to dissipate the fog, making sure that the board and the management team to start with have exactly the same aligned strategy definition. Then it's about making sure that we build the bridge over that gap, making sure we bring the people with us. So at the low maturity level, we talk about benefits realization, that is, which are the proven abilities, the demonstrated capabilities and abilities and new ways of working and the usage, adoption of new technology that will lead to that we will actually achieve and reach our most important goals and the strategic objectives in 3 years rolling. And less is more, that is the most difficult part. And the most difficult part is actually to prioritize. We don't have spare capacity. So in order to be able to change your business, you need to work with two most important goals belonging to change. And you need also to be able to free up around 10% of capacity in the organization, because the change comes from within and not from an army of consultants. You might need help to get led or moderated, pushed from externals, yes, but not really many, not an army. You must free up own capacity, otherwise change will not stick. And in that, I think we have something which is rather something that we forget normally, that is the change impact assessment. Why do we need a change impact assessment? In some transformations, what we see is that there's a work stream called change management. But as long as it is not integrated, it will not be efficient. And we need to make sure that we have an aligned view on what is the impact of the change on our organization. This is why we are conducting a change impact assessment, which is also the input to the change management strategy that we then carry out in 3 phases. We prepare for the change. In the phase 2, we manage the change, and we make sure that we reinforce the change. And what we also do is, once we've prepared the change management strategy and the change management plans, we integrate these change management activities into implementation phases in 3 months increments, again, with 2 most important goals to focus on according to OKR. OKR stands for objectives and key results. And in working with this 90 days increments, what you will do, you will review your strategy, you will review your benefits dependency mapping here, and you will have a look again at your priorities, what you prioritize. In this way, you will be able to work with 3 months rolling planning, that is with a horizon of rolling 3 years. That is required to be able to succeed. But Alex, I missed something here, don't I?
Yeah, exactly. And I see we have some space at the beginning. We're missing the purpose. And actually, we kept it purposefully for the end, pun intended, because in many organizations, the purpose is missing or is not shared. The result will be the same, is that people don't work towards a common goal and don't really know, actually, in extreme cases, why they even go to work in the morning. How can we correct or improve this situation? Design thinking can prove very helpful to define the purpose of the organization and to align the purpose of the organization by going to the end users, by understanding what they need, what are the pain points, and how our products or services can help them. This has to be done by going out of one's office, which is very, quite often actually a novelty in many organizations. And the idea is really to understand what are the pain points that we as an organization can solve. Of course, once you have greater clarity on this and less politics very often, it becomes easier to align on the definition of the strategy and where you want to go on short, medium, and longer term. The second field where design thinking, and you see those little double diamonds appear, is very helpful is after you have decided where you want to go, what you want to change, because design thinking, due to its setup, is really empowering people to co-create and is fostering team collaborations, not team within the same departments, because this is already the reality, but interdisciplinary teams that go across different departments, that break the silos, and that also very importantly go across different hierarchical titles and levels. Design thinking can help the change be faster, be more impactful, and better accepted by a greater number of employees simply because you involve people. You ask for their opinion, and the change becomes their baby instead of being imposed from the top to the bottom.
Exactly, that's the point. And what we do is by combining both methodologies, we will actually accelerate, or you are accelerating your transition to the future state. And not only that, we make it measurable based on what I write on best practice based change management, meaning that we measure increased success probability and increased change readiness as the drivers, the engine of that transformation. And this way, as Alexandra has explained and as shown and said on this picture, we make sure that we fast track what you can say is an accelerated culture transformation. So you want me to move the next slide, Alex, right?
Yes, please. So you are probably all familiar with the golden circle of Simon Sinek, the why, the how, and the what. It can be also applied to design thinking and to its use and its leverage in organizations. The why is really, why do we do, what we do in our company is basically the purpose that is then adapted as a strategy. Why do we exist? What is our mission? What is our vision? Why at individual level do we go to work every morning? Well, now it's remote work, but still. Then you have the second level, which is a how. How are we going to organize our organization to deliver what we want to deliver to our end users? And this has to do with the leadership, with the management practices, with the way the departments are structured, with how the decision-making happens, whether it's only top to bottom or bottom up. The third circle will be what? What is the difference that using this organization we're going to make in the life of our users? How are we going to solve their pain points? How are we going to make their life richer, easier, simpler? How are we going to bring value taken as a whole concept? This is exactly, what design thinking is about. By using the methodology of 4 steps, you are going to go from the first level to the first circle to the outer circle. Many companies start with a what, and this is the other way around that you should be working, right? What are the products we're making? What are the services we're offering? Without necessarily solving the why, and even less looking at the how. The how has been inherited from a history in many cases, and it would be so complicated to look again at it from scratch that nobody wants to tackle that. With design thinking, you can, because you look at all the stakeholders. Next, please, Christian. So since many organizations start with a what instead of starting with a how, you end up quite often, at least from my experience, with solutions that are not necessarily solving the issues. We wanted fast solution because the boss wanted one, because the market wanted one, because, you know, you can have many reasons. And you end up putting the cart before the bull. And after spending quite a lot of time and money and efforts, you realize after implementing the solution that, you know what, it doesn't really solve the problem we had at the beginning. How familiar does this sound to you? And we have a small poll for you to tell us how familiar or not, because maybe you have been lucky, it sounds to you.
So yeah, I've just launched a poll. So take your time. Yes, we're getting answers already. Yeah. Alex, can you see it as well?
I can see it as well. So we have so far 1 very familiar, 4 familiar, 2 somewhat familiar, 5 familiar. Okay, let's see. Okay, we have 11 people so far that answered out of 12.
14 on the call. That's 12. Yeah, that should be okay. There's one more left. We have 11. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a balance between somewhat familiar and familiar, with one unlucky person very familiar.
So thank you for the answers. Now continue, Alex.
Yes, so I'm showing you the results, and we can stop sharing the poll now. Okay.
So stop sharing. Done.
Yeah, stop sharing. Next, please, Christian.
Yeah. So why change management? Why do we need that? It is to increase success probability of the change initiative. It is to make sure that employee resistance is being managed properly. Because if we don't apply change management in the beginning, if we don't build the awareness to have desire and to have knowledge and ability later, and also to reinforce the change according to ProScience, ADKAR formula and change management framework, we will just build resistance in the beginning, and will be for every day we wait to take care of the people and implement change management properly, resistance will increase and the likeliness that we succeed is decreasing. It is to secure people-dependent ROI, return on investment, that is ROI, and in this case, of course, the benefits to be realized connected to that, and to embed change competency into your organization. Once you have done this, succeeded with integrated change management into your change or transformation initiative. Then it has to be said that ProSci, and what is ProSci to start with? ProSci is the world-leading change management independent body. It is in the States. They have done 25 years or research since 1994, now for more than 25 years, and they have about 5,000 or 6,000 answers in their biannual surveys of what works and not in change management in any trade and sector sizes, and even governmental, NGO, and so on. So ProSci has come to the conclusion in their research and best practice surveys that organizations that have an efficient change management framework integrated and in place, they have 6 times more likeliness to be on time, on budget, and get out the ROI, the benefits to be realized. So now I would like to ask you all about what are the most common reasons for failed change, and also you can rank that with a thumb up and thumb down, so we get good ranking. So please get started. And Alex, can you put in the link? You can see at the top of the slide it says paulev.com/christiandel607. And you will have that in the chat in a second if you can't read it properly. And then you can start answering here. Perfect. Thank you. So, yeah, obviously it works nicely. I just need to see that we get the answers here. I have a plan B in case it doesn't work, but I can see in the background that we are getting answers. We have one answer so far, and I just want to make sure that if you can enter, can someone confirm verbally that you can enter your answers?
I have been able to input one answer.
Sorry, can you say this once again, please, David?
You're not sure where to enter your answers?
No. I was able to input one answer.
Okay, so that one is activated, so it should work. Let's make a really short check about it. Yeah, I see someone has answered lack of common vision, and that is already on the screen. So the poll is activated. So if you could try again, please. It would be good if we can enter some more most common reasons for failed change. There are many. So I would like to see at least 2 or 3 more minimum, if possible.
You need to enter the URL I just sent out.
So in the chat, yeah.
The chat, that's another option. Stakeholder alignment.
See, lack of common vision. Do we have more reasons? The more reasons we have, the more it will be interactive, and we'll be able to vote on that one interactively. Leadership commitment, here it comes. Involvement of people at all levels, yeah. Okay, take your time to vote. I will close this one within about 45 seconds to be on time.
Yeah, looks like lack of common vision so far is the one. Leadership commitment, second.
All right, so we see that lack of common vision is the leading one, followed by leadership commitment and leadership culture. My own experience, or that's also Alex, and ProSci says the same year after year, or every time they do best practice survey. The number one reason for failed change is lack of executive sponsorship, of visible executive sponsorship throughout the change. So that is pretty clear. And then leadership commitment means that you need to make sure that the sponsor coalition is there also throughout the change and really stands behind it. Without that, it's not possible to continue or to be successful with the change. And leadership and culture is now becoming even more important than before, of course, and that is to build a strong culture from the beginning based on the values that are understood and internalized after some time by everyone in the organization. You can continue to vote. Thank you very much. I will leave this in the background. We continue due to time. Thank you. So now the next one is, just give me a second. I have to exit that one to continue. Here we are. So, how about our upcoming online seminars, Alexandra?
So we are starting another series of 5 half days. In this series, we'll have the first part will be about theoretical foundations. We'll have a deep dive in design thinking for the first half day. Second half day, we'll have a deep dive in change management and how to combine both methodologies to land even greater results than used independently. And then we'll have a practical application series of 3 half days, applying design thinking, applying change management, and of course, combining both methodologies. All 5 afternoons will be from 1 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. Central European time. The idea is really to work very closely with the participants and to mix really application workshop with enough theory that you can fly on your own, but without, of course, boring everyone, and to receive also dedicated coaching from Christian and I on your challenges. So this is a great opportunity to be working on your, on basically what keeps you up at night, and to put together the first steps towards solving this challenge. We also offer networking events at the end of each session for the ones of you who would like to stay and get to know each other better. Next, Christian, please.
Yeah, I just want to add the what you get in summary is that you get a chance here to assimilate what you learn directly on your own change initiative or transformation in the practical application. So that is the value, and there's, as we know, no one else that combines design thinking and change management, especially that we are practitioners. We come from real life with the experience from it, and not only from theoretical appliance in a classroom, of course. So with that, Alex, we should also say that the price for this, the regular price is 750 euros. That is a total of 22.5 hours of highly interactive online training and the seminars. And with that, we also have the why you should attend this series of seminars. Alex, you want to quickly walk us through this, perhaps point by point?
So, to our opinions, there hasn't been any better time to start tackling difficult issues, because as all the newspapers have been mentioning, we are in a new normal. However, most organizations will just bear with the new normal. Our proposal is really that you craft your own new normal, okay, that will define your own future. It's important to accelerate and digest, I would say, the transition into business agility. Business agility has become a buzzword, but in reality, very few organizations practice it really. It's time to gain a competitive edge. As we're all aware, the economic times ahead are going to prove difficult, and only the best ones and the better equipped ones will be able to move forward. What we offer you as well is to learn how to reduce risk and to increase success probability. Both methodologies, design thinking and change management, taken already independently, have been proved to help companies reduce risk. Of course, if you combine both, you leverage even more those dimensions. And at personal level, depending, of course, on your personal situation, it's about also developing your own thought leadership. Times will be rough going ahead. And of course, if you manage to position yourself as a thought leader in your organization, these are positive points for you.
Thank you, Alex. So let's have a short look at some testimonials we have received from happy participants. Fanny Jaffet from Geneva Airport says that she's acquired new ways to lead projects with a human-centric approach, and that is also to significantly reduce resistance to change. Eliana Spielmann from Crédit Agricole says that she highly recommends us because it helps to accelerate the organization's transition into digital transformation. And Lynn Berthollet, she says that the combination of what we are doing and teaching are essential elements for successful and practical implementation. With that, we would like to come to the conclusion before Q&A, or with a special offer to you, rather. As we mentioned, the regular price is 750 euros. As you can see on the site and information provided earlier, some of you might have seen that we have this early bird ending Friday, June 5 at 1700 hours Central European Standard Time. However, today we have a special offer for you which closes tomorrow, Thursday, by midnight. And instead of that 590 early bird, that is until Friday, you get a gift and a promotional code for this of the value of 60 euros, which means that if you decide and sign up on the Eventbrite page, either through the Eventbrite via this site that I'm showing now at the bottom, you get a discount of a total of 220 euros by using the code, which means that you pay 530 euros only for these 5.5 days or 22.5 hours of highly interactive vital skills for the future. With that, I would like to Alex, we are now closing this part. Thank you for listening. And now it is time for Q&A. In the chat, you can put
we
that.
already got a question from Carol. Question is that applicable to an environment like education or for a structured organization only, focused internally? So the answer is yes. When we talk about users or stakeholders, you of course have external stakeholders like customers, clients, partners, but very importantly, you have internal stakeholders, employees, managers, whatever the title. Both design thinking and change management are very useful and very important for internal stakeholders as well. They are users, they also have needs, and very often actually those needs are being fairly ignored, I must say. And when they are ignored, nothing good comes out. So yes, regarding education, yes, education is, I would say, a sector like any other with internal and external stakeholders, the needs of the students, but also of the professors, of the administrative staff needs to be fulfilled. And this is something that can be done through design thinking. And whatever you decide has also to be implemented via change management. Carol, did it answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sorry.
In short, I just want to add, it applies to any type of change and transformation. That doesn't matter if it's education or one department or if it is internal, external. We need to make sure that we have this ecosystem, internal, external, needs to be the same. Otherwise, we cannot turn into an organization which is focusing on digital transformation, innovation, and sustainability to become business agile with a custom experience in the middle. We got another question from Håkan Muntfors here. Is it always about strategy, or can it be applied into better structure of the tactics? Alex, do you want to start?
Yeah, no, it's not only about strategies. The reason we highlighted the important role of both methodologies and of their combination in the strategy is that very often strategy is done top to bottom without taking into account the stakeholders. However, both methodologies are very useful as well to design the tactics. actually is what we were meaning with change implementation. So when you talk more about the tactics, by involving the different types of employees, by involving people from different departments that will co-craft the tactics and co-craft the way it's going to be implemented. So it can be applied pretty much at any level. Of course, it will be applied slightly differently according to the step in which you are, but it's the same logic. It's always putting people's needs first and making sure they are satisfied without sacrificing any stakeholder. Does it answer your question, Håkan?
Yes. Can I add one thing?
Sure.
Sometimes I get the feeling that we want to target the strategy, and in a disruptive world we need to change and all that, but maybe we also need to just to learn to work in this way before we actually target the big thing. Which comes first, learning how to work or attacking the strategy from a big perspective?
It's a good follow-up question. Actually, it's fairly impossible to change any organization if the change or the approach you want to use is not supported by the top level.
Exactly.
And I would say they need to walk the talk. So if they start applying it to their own work, then it's going to become easier to apply it through the rest of the organization.
I can add here as well is that if the management team doesn't walk the talk, then change will not occur, and that is one of the foremost reasons. Why should I bother if they don't care? Mm-hmm. So it has to be change comes from the top by defining the direction and the why, and then it has to, how we're going to do this needs to come from the troops, from the entire organization, defining what activities are we going to work with. So ideally, in order to succeed, you need to have that started from the top, and then defining the two most important goals that are being cascaded throughout the organization. Then at each level, when it comes to the key results and the related activities, those will be defined by the organization and in a transversal way. For instance, at level 2 or 3, different entities can are then related to the same one or two most important goals, which makes that they have to work together in a transversal way. To deploy OKR, objectives and key results, and strategy acceleration is the best way to succeed by embedding what we are saying into this endeavor. Håkan, does it? Do you have a full answer, or do you wonder a bit more about it?
No, it's good. I have a lot of questions, but that's for another day, I think. So it's good. It's enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a new question from Jan. It's more for changing current organizations than for entrepreneurs and startups, as I see it, correct? Yes and no. Basically, of course, change management considered internally means you change something that already existed. So for many startups, since you're in a creation, you don't have this first state. Now, let me add something to this answer. Design thinking is super, super useful for startups. What I have seen, because I've coached many startups, and I'm also a jury for different incubators. What I've seen very often is people start with an idea. They are super convinced this is great. They just implement it, but without making sure that there is a need. Okay, so by using design thinking, you can really make sure that there is a need, that your solution, whatever it is, product or service, will actually solve real pain points and solve them properly. So what I've done quite often with entrepreneurs even though they had a very set ideas, is to tell them, okay, now please park your idea. Okay, let's take a step back and we make sure that we rediscover your audience and their needs. And then we'll see whether you keep your idea or whether you want to adapt it. Okay. Now, second part of my amended answer is very often the solution will be quite innovative. So you will need some level of change management, but not internally. Externally, you will need to educate the customers to help them take the step, basically. Okay, so it's still a type of change management, but applied to a different audience. Does it answer your question, Jan? Yeah?
Yes, very much so. And I think it's exactly what I meant also with my comment in the first place. I think you have two different type of sessions here. The session that you're offering feels like it's change management of an existing organization or product or service. But exactly what you very correctly say, of course, the startups needs to do the thinking ahead and design their product and so on there. So I think you can do two different sessions, and it's important then that you specify if this is for an existing organization or if this is a course for the startups and so on. So very good. Yes. I
can add my view on this, Johan. It is. I still see this as an integrated part, because the purpose part is still need to do, and if you don't have an agreed direction and all the pieces in place in an adaptive way, then you don't know where you're going. And this is required especially for startups to get necessary funding and to build in that in their business plan. And I would say this is an additional strength to have a strategy, a definition and documentation, one page, and showing what needs to be achieved and embedding OKRs into that. So it's from everything from one person to hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, but it's still different sessions, I think, because in the sessions that you're offering, you probably prefer to have people in sort of a similar situation, even though you're working on your specific case, but you will have much more learning opportunities within each session if you keep it to existing companies in one and I guess startups in a separate session. That would be my only point.
Yes. Yeah. If you, when you say separate in that way, then that might be, yes.
Yeah. Great, excellent.
Just a last comment on this, even so startups are new organizations, they themselves go through many changes quite quickly. Like going from being a founder to being a manager is usually a very hard step to make for many co-founders, and many miss this step and don't manage to grow their company actually. So growing the company can be considered a change actually for a startup. And it's very often a failed change actually that leads to the death of the startup. So next question.
Sorry, just 1 second. We are 3 minutes over time, and respecting time, we can continue till shortly before 10, if that's okay to everyone. The ones who have to leave. But we'll continue to take questions till for the next 9-10 minutes at the most, if there are questions. Otherwise, we will end them when there's no more questions. So go on, Alex.
Leopoldo, this crisis is repeating since the 80s. Are you enabling a learning organization able to redefine itself, enabling the members of the organization to change, to say it in a proper way? Which is your approach to make it sustainable, continuous change, enabling, and self-driven? So my first comment would be the crisis, the economic crisis we're facing is quite different from the one we had in 2008, to refer to one specifically. In 2008, and I think this has been insufficiently highlighted in the news, including business news. In 2008, the crisis started with the banking system. And then, given that banks were crippled, they couldn't lend anymore to the real economy. But I would say it was more a slowdown in the development of the a company, sorry, than really a full stop. This time it's going to be a full stop, simply because this is a demand crisis. Okay, people are worried. People have serious worries, about their future and their future revenues, so they're not spending. Christian, you wanted to add something to that?
It is the approach to make it sustainable, yes. And that is exactly what we're doing by embedding design thinking and integrating change management from the start. By looking at the change impact, doing the change impact assessment, where we, amongst other, measure right at the beginning, what does the change readiness of the organization? What is the success probability of what you want to change or transform? So by doing this and making sure that we actually are defining the change management strategy as well, which is key to success, in order to be able to define the change management, to dimension the change management effort, we need to do the change management strategy first, and that is the change impact assessment is the predecessor of that, or the starting point. So that is then we make sure that the people are coming on board, that we take care of them in the right way, and by this we make it more sustainable. It's a human, empathic, centric approach that fosters leadership. So for those who have to go, thank you.
Please feel free to go.
Yes,
thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much for today. We really appreciate it. We'll stay online for a few more minutes if there are more questions. Thank you for your time. It was very nice with the questions. And anyone else, if you have questions, feel free to speak up or type in the chat.
Yeah. About Leopoldo's question also in comments, one thing that has contributed to replicating the same mistakes is that there has been very little time or willingness devoted to learning the lessons. When you don't learn the lessons, you of course repeat the same mistakes. And
I should add, based on Leopoldo's comment, it's actually about accelerate your culture transformation. That's what it is all about. So to be really clear. So we talk about transformation because it's about future capabilities and change that's fixing the past. We don't need that.
May I add one thing?
Sure.
Yeah.
My experience is when I've been in charge of larger organizations is that, of course, you would like to change the whole organization, but the best start has always been to bring out the new thing you identify that might be either, attacked from new competitors, or you see that you can gain an advantage yourself with your new offering, and you bring it more into an entrepreneurial organization in parallel to the big one, and then you protect it and let it thrive and to grow bottom up. I think then you can get a good example for the rest of the organization to join the new way of doing things. I think that's a mistake I've seen in many companies, that they try to do the old stuff and the new stuff in the same organization. Wouldn't work, and it makes things complicated for a management team in the top. They cannot handle it. So better to bring it out in an incubator style. That's my experience. Works much better.
I can comment on this one, Håkan. The danger in doing this, I would not recommend it. Why? Because it's building another silo. What you need to do is a proof of concept in your own organization. Because there are two elements besides having one and a common same direction shared between the board, the management team, and a change agents network together to define a strategy. What you really need to make sure is that you can free up 10% of the capacity to work with changing the business, so we can balance it with running the business, and do not focus on more than two most important goals. Cascaded and activities need to be defined bottom up. It's correct. That is needed.
What I mentioned is only one example was the bankomat company. I was in retail and bankomats are dying. We all know that. But they had a new unit that did digital payments, new payments methods, which was really advanced. But I said early on, you should probably bring it out, should probably have another brand, you should probably have another ownership style of this, bring in new owners. This is your new business, the other stuff is dying anyhow. That's what I meant. And it took 18 months, and then actually this happened. They could never develop this into in the old culture. It actually happened with new owners, new brand, everything.
But then you create a new business, which is great, but you don't save the old one.
No.
The problem.
Yeah, you need to identify which parts of your organizational strategy that is attacked by disruptive. Not everything is, but some is.
Clearly, not everything is.
Yes.
And what the example you mentioned is great to really start fresh ideas. And then the question is, how do you redistribute those fresh ideas or different culture to the rest of the organization? And this is something that is quite hard to do. You see it when you have big organizations acquiring startups in an attempt to revisit themselves. And you see actually that very often this model fails because A, the culture of the startup will not spread throughout the acquiring organization, and B, the startup, depending how it is set up, may suffer increased bureaucracy from the new owner. So it's something that is really hard to do that way.
It is, but maybe you do it too early because it has to become strong enough to survive either the energy of the old culture or to influence it. You need to have more successes before you do it. Keep it apart, rather longer time than shorter, in my opinion.
Well, Håkan,
sorry to take your time, but I find it very interesting.
That's okay. That's a discussion, and that is fine. I would suggest now, because we need to be much faster due to the coronavirus. Maybe this worked before, and it needs to be investigated if this idea of making it run separate will work. I think it will be difficult.
I have some questions to the two of you, but maybe we can take it between two of us, or another time.
We take it offline, Håkan.
Yeah.
Let's not discuss
but it was very interesting. So.
Yeah. All right, that's perfect. So anyone else with a question? Thank you, Håkan, for input. Anyone else? Otherwise, we'll be closing.
But anyway, you have our contact information. So if you come up with something else in terms of question, comments, you know how to find us. So yes. Antonio, it's more comments. Wow.
Yes. With that, I would like to end with an end comment. It doesn't matter. All what we said doesn't matter if there's not a proper leadership that is human-centric, that is strong, that builds a culture based on the values that are understood and assimilated by everyone. Because culture eats strategy for breakfast, as the old saying goes. With that, Alex and I would like to thank you very much once again for attending and take your time, 50 more minutes. And we'll be sending you the slides shortly. And if you can be fast and consider that, you can save a lot of money. We highly recommend our seminars based on testimonials. Thanks for today and have a great, safe day. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.